This is NFL Daily by Chat Sports. I am Tom Downey, and it's a mailbag. We answer all of your questions live on NFL Daily. From Adam White, where does Larry Ogunjobi sign? Great question. I have no idea. Him flunking his physical was a pretty big deal. Maybe he goes back to Cincinnati. Maybe he doesn't sign. We've seen players fail physicals and never get signed again, i.e. Eric Berry. Remember him? Yeah, his foot was all messed up. Didn't play again in the NFL. So I hope he plays again. I think the Bengals could maybe make a spot for him, but I don't know where he ends up. That's a great question, Adam. GBK Hawk. Seahawks trade for Taysom Hill, maybe a 6th-round pick. He could make the quarterback room real fun in Seattle. Oh, boy, where do I go with this one? Taysom Hill is a shitty quarterback because he's not a quarterback. He can't throw. He's out here taking giant crow hops and underthrowing the guy by 15 yards. Like, he throws arm punts. I don't want him in Seattle. I will make note that trading him for the Saints at this stage with his contract saves them $1.1 million this year and about $50,000, not even $50,000 next year. So I kind of think he's just going to be back as that like special teamer, tight end, H-back, read option guy. He's not a QB. He's not. I can't believe I'm saying this. I would rather play Drew Lock. From Caddyboy863V. I think the Niners would be a perfect situation for Drew Brees. Run-oriented offense, top 10 defense, accuracy, high football, and IQ. SF becomes a top 5 offense. I don't think so. Because I don't think Drew Brees has it anymore. Like, we could have said the exact same thing, changed some teams around, about Peyton Manning his last year in Denver. But now I think Brees' arm is maybe a little bit better, probably less football intelligence, because Manning is a genius, but I don't think Brees has the arm ability to throw it downfield anymore. So I think this really praised the Niners' offense, but we're basically saying, well, Brees is smart, so he can do it. I don't think he can anymore, to be honest. From Lake and Draco, why hasn't Clowney signed? I thought he'd be back with the Browns by now. Fair point. I kind of thought the same, but then I remembered that Clowney doesn't like to do the voluntary workout stuff. How many years is now he hasn't signed in the May or the April, May, June period, potentially June, since we're not there yet? He doesn't want to do the voluntary OTA stuff, which is probably a red flag if we're being honest. But NFL teams always need pass rushers. So beyond Cleveland, some teams I think that make sense. The Ravens, 1-year deal for Clowney, then David Ojabo takes over. The Rams, got to replace Von Miller. The Falcons always need pass rush help. And Philadelphia would be lit for Clowney. So what do you guys think? Who will end up signing Clowney this offseason? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. From Val Castillo, who won the Office Fantasy League? That was producer Jack who won it, by the way. I came in third. Also, who's your RB1, receiver 1, and QB1 for this year? Okay, so I assume we're still talking about fantasy here. RB1, I would argue pretty easily should still be Jonathan Taylor. Like, Taylor should be your best option there. I'm going to go Taylor over Henry, though, which maybe sounds a bit weird, but that's the route I would go. Quarterback, still give me Mahomes. Call me crazy, but I think he's still the best option out there. Receiver, give me Jamar Chase. I thought about Devontae Adams. I thought about Cooper Kupp again, Justin Jefferson, maybe Deebo, depending on what your league scoring is. So I will go Taylor. I'm going to go with Jamar Chase, and I'll go crazy with Mahomes over Herbert and Allen, who are also in good shape there. Adam Page, any news on Colin Kaepernick? No, and in large part because the NFL doesn't really want him. Pete Carroll can say whatever he wants to say about, we could sign him, we have interest. No, they don't. They've had multiple chances over the years to sign him. Every NFL team has, and nobody's done so. And if Kaepernick really thinks at his age, being out of the year for 5 years, that he should be a starting QB, he's insane. Did he get screwed? Oh, hell yeah. But that was 5 years ago. Doesn't make sense for him to be an NFL QB at this point. From Richie Miller, any chance Landon Collins bounces back? Unless he wants to go play a full-time linebacker role, I kind of don't think so. He got outplayed by Cam Curl in Washington, gets cut, and there is a reason why, despite once having an awesome year for the Giants, he is still unsigned at this point. I don't think he's the same guy he was at his prime. So I get that there might be some interest from some teams, but I don't think we're ever going to see Landon Collins at his peak form. I just don't think he has it in him at this point. From Jason N., Newton will only get signed if a starting QB goes down. I do think there are teams that should have some semblance of interest in adding Cam Newton to a roster, because I think he is a top 60 QB in the NFL. There should be a spot for him on a roster, but I think what Jason's alluding to here is he probably wants to start, right? He thinks he can still start, and he might not be the ideal archetype for that veteran backup type of QB. So from that perspective, maybe he waits, but if I'm a team like the Ravens, for example, I'd have interest as a backup dual threat QB. He might be better than Huntley is at this point. From Mark, Zeke's busted knee. Are we really supposed to believe Zeke ran 22 miles per hour and passing slow movers on the sidelines? It's funny. So let me pull up one thing here. So allegedly, Mike McCarthy says that Zeke hit 22 miles per hour on the GPS practice. That would be the 5th fastest time in the NFL last year. That's using NFL's next-gen stats, fastest ball carriers. Now, maybe Zeke ran it without pads, and that absolutely does shave off some time. Do I think peak Zeke or current Zeke is hitting 22 miles an hour? No, I don't believe he hit that number, unless the GPS numbers the Cowboys used are more juiced than, say, the next-gen stats ones are. If you want more NFL coverage, uncensored, by the way, follow us on Rumble to get even more NFL videos. That link is below, rumble.com/NFL daily. Make sure you follow us over there for more uncensored videos. From Vince, which rookie wide receiver do you pick first for your fantasy team and why? I assume this is a dynasty question because that would make the most sense to me. I'm going to take Drake London as my number one receiver dynasty-wise. I think he's an awesome football player. Wilson is my number 2, which he actually went, I think, 5th among receivers in my dynasty draft that I'm currently doing right now. So I'm going Drake London to answer your question there, Vince. Tristan Bravo, then let's hit the Seahawks and Kraken fan Rumble question. Do you think Burke's having a hard time breathing, leaving practice is a bad look or a health problem? I think it's a bad look. He came back and was fine for practice number 2. I get big-time vibes here of Jamar Chase can't catch. It's kind of like the same vibes I get. Different styles, and Burks is probably not as good as Jamar Chase is. Seahawks and Kraken fan asked this question on Rumble. Ravens trade Mark Andrews to the Packers for a 1st and a 3rd. That's a big value to get back, and I think the Packers could have some interest. But if you're the Ravens, do you want to sell Mark Andrews for just a pick? For a team trying to win games right now, although I think the value's pretty good, I think Baltimore should say no. Sober failure. Many people think George Pickens will make the Steelers an aggressive team with some of his actions in college. I think that is true. I don't think a rookie second-round pick by himself is going to change the culture of a team. I think Pickens will provide some attitude, but I don't think he by himself is going to flip the switch and totally change that entire roster, even if it is pretty young on the offensive side of the ball. I think he will bring a nice edge, hopefully not too much of an edge in games. From Mike Dibble, Browns sign Sue. What do you think? I'm all for it. I look at what the Browns have right now on the interior of their defensive line, right, which is, of course, where Ndamukong Suh plays as a journeyman, veteran defensive lineman. I see Jordan Elliott, Taven Bryan, Tommy Togiai, Perrion Winfrey, and Sheldon Day. How many of those guys right now are better than Suh? I don't think any. There is some young talent, but it's all unproven. So I would love for the Browns to go get Sue. We here at Chat Sports are your one-stop shop for more free NFL videos. All you have to do to get them is simply subscribe. YouTube.com/chatsportstv is the link to get you to subscribe here. If you're watching on YouTube, all you have to do is hit that big red button right now. From Miguel, OBJ to the Bills. Vaughn and OBJ hanging out. Possibly Vaughn is recruiting. I would not put anything past OBJ. He always seems to do weird stuff. It could work, honestly. The Bills right now aren't in dire need of receiver help, though. Stephon Diggs is the number one. Gabe Davis had that breakout in the postseason. He's going to be their number two, in theory. Jamison Crowder's the slot. They drafted Khalil Shakir, who I like a lot. Isaiah McKenzie, Marquez Stevenson on the roster. So if OBJ wants to ring chase, yeah, Buffalo makes sense. If it's just need and money, I'm not so sure. From Wookie494, is a Deebo Samuel trade dead? Probably, right? Like the teams that wanted Deebo were the Lions want him, the Jets want him, and the Packers wanted him. All three of those teams took a receiver early this year. At least the Lions and Jets, made offers to San Francisco for Deebo Samuel. And the Niners said, thanks, but no thanks. So they're going to try like hell to hold on to Deebo Samuel. Will they do it? I think so, but never say never with this offseason in particular. So what do you think the Niners will do with Deebo? Type in T for trade or K for keep. From Smokey McKenzie, who said he recently subbed. Thank you, Smokey. Most overrated team and most underrated NFL team. Probably a show we'll do, well, a video we'll do an entire thing on, just over and underrated teams. Overrated teams right now. A little bit worried about Tennessee, by the way, and Green Bay. Now, the NFC side from Green Bay, they'll win the division. No problems there. I'm worried about them. Underrated teams that I see out there? Ravens. They went 9-8 because of injuries last year. I think the Ravens are going to be a very real playoff threat this year, and frankly, I think Pittsburgh and the Raiders are a bit overrated as well. Sorry. Alec G. Predictions for who's drafting the top 5 in the 2023 NFL Draft. Teams I think are going to be bad next year. The Falcons, I do not believe are going to be very good. Panthers, a good one there too. Panthers and Falcons, both in the NFC South. Crazy, right? The Seahawks, I don't believe are going to be good. The Giants, and I'll go with an AFC team here to balance things out a little bit too. I think Texans and Jacksonville are still going to be at least another year away. From Ricky Slicks, JC Tretter to Miami. Will keeps talking about JC to Miami. Yeah, I know he does. Makes sense. Tretter's in a weird spot where he should have been signed already. And in years past, when we've seen older offensive linemen remain unsigned, they often don't get signed. Remember Russell Okung, starter, unsigned still. It's weird, right? I think there are some injury concerns, and I think him being the NFL union head for the players is not helping his cases. With that said, 6 teams should go sign him. The Dolphins, Minnesota, Dallas, Las Vegas, New York Giants, and Seattle. He is an upgrade at center over all of those teams' current options. Miami in particular should sign J.C. Tretter. I unfortunately am unconvinced he's going to, even though he should sign with an NFL team. He's still a good player. Do you think he will end up signing that J.C. Tretter? That is. Type in Y for yes or type in N for no. From Mr. Syrupans. Okay. How much longer is King Henry a Titan? So that team, from a philosophy standpoint, is still built around getting Derrick Henry the football. After this year, his contract is very easy to move on from. They save quite a bit of money with a release or a trade. I don't think he's going to get cut after this year. So I'll go at least 2 more years for Derrick Henry, but we know how short shelf lives are in the NFL. Is Derrick Henry Adrian Peterson? Maybe. Let's see how this year goes first. If you have more questions on anything around the NFL, hit me up on Twitter. I'm at WhatGoingDowney. My DMs are open, so slide on in and send me any questions on the NFL that you guys have.